Hey everyone, it's Angus here. I thought I'd make a video just around how you might identify opportunities using earnings information. There's been, a lot of earnings coming out at the moment. Some of the companies are, reporting, quite good earnings, and as a result, some of these old, well, not old, but some of these, bigger technology companies are starting to move back up. So, anyway, I just thought I'd show you, one way to perhaps use TradingView to, see what's happening around earnings. And, as an example, First Solar, which I've, sort of having a look at here, you can see, from this earnings period here, it's been sort of bouncing off this support level, and with its earnings announcement, it's up 52%. So it went from being around about up 27%, and then it's gone up as high as 52%, which was basically roughly 18% from the earnings announcement. So I'll just sort of show you how you might be able to find some of these, and you know see if there's stocks that you might have a look at that you might then want to put onto your watch list and keep an eye on. As always, not trading advice by any stretch of the imagination. It's just another way of perhaps using some of the tools in TradingView to just try and identify stocks that might have had some pretty good results that are all of a sudden rallying again. So what we do is, if you're on a normal chart page, I presume that everyone knows how to get to this page. And if you're on a page like this, then you just click on the stock screener down the bottom left, and you'll probably have something that looks a little bit like this. So, for those of you who already know how to do this, you can skip ahead. But just to show some of the people who don't, what I'll do is I'll get rid of some of this stuff. So I'm going to just go remove column. This is just so I can sort of set it up my own way and keep an eye on it, just without all this other stuff on it. Remove column. And some people obviously know more about how to use the system than others, so I just always assume that the person that I might be speaking to might have less knowledge than others, and this just sort of gives them a chance to work out how to get started. So all I've done is I've right-clicked and I've removed some of the columns. Right, what I want to do now is I'm going to save this, so save columns as, and I'm going to save this as earnings breakouts. I'm just going to highlight that and copy it, and I'm going to go save. And so this left-hand one saves the columns setups, and this right-hand one here saves your filters setups. So on this one here, I'm going to go right-click, and I'm going to go save screens as. I'm just going to call it the same thing, so that way I know that when I have my columns and I have my filters, it applies to the same strategy that I'm looking for. And if you don't save those two things, it'll make it crazy having to set these up every time. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to simply type in earnings. And this is really cool. So see how I've got recent earnings dates? I'm going to click that, and I can even put upcoming earnings dates, but I really want to find stocks that have just passed or they've just had earnings, and I want to be able to see what's happened to that stock after earnings. So they're kind of in that lower risk area. Like, it's always a bit of a risk with stocks coming up to earnings, because those stocks could get smashed, or even if they have good earnings, they sometimes go backwards. But anyway, so it's that recent earnings date is the one that I want. I also want to add in some other ones like the 12-month performance of the stock. So let's see if I can find that performance. Never know what these ones are called. So let's just have a look at yearly performance. So I'll tick that as a column. I also want weekly performance. I want the 5-day performance. So I'm going to tick weekly performance. And it's up to you, but you could tick these other ones as twos if you wanted to. So monthly, yearly, 3 monthly, because that sort of gives me very, very short term, but short term, it's sort of like medium term and long term performance. And I really like to look at the yearly. So now that I've got those added, the other one I want to do is look at average volume. So volume is always important. I want to try and find, let's say, average volume over 3 months, because I'm really looking for stocks that are more actively traded by people. So these are some pretty good column setups that I've got now. I'm going to move this one to the far right because I don't really need to see that one too much. And so you can see I've got 14,000 stocks. And what I've actually got is I've got both the US stock market and I've got the Australian stock market, just for fun. So you can see this multi-select tool. You can go and you can add a whole bunch of countries if you live in Europe or somewhere where you can trade multiple exchanges. And so I like to trade both the US and the Australian exchange. In the past, I used to like to trade the Hong Kong and the Chinese exchanges, but they're a little, and Tokyo and some of those, but they're a little bit more volatile at the moment. So I'm really just sort of looking at the US and the Australian stock market. So that's why I've got those two set up under here. Right, and so what I want to do now is I'm going to say I've got 14,000 tickers, and I'll need to filter that down. So I'm going to say recent earning date. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say only show me stocks that have had a recent earnings announcement in the last 5 days. You could do it for today, you could do it for yesterday, you could do it for this week, the previous week, this month. But I'm going to say let's have a look over the last 5 days, because I really want to look for stocks that have had earnings and they're rallying hard off that bottom of the earnings. So I'm going to select that. You can see my 15,000 has gone down to 538. I also want to get rid of the stocks that aren't particularly liquid. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to say only show me stocks that have got at least 100,000 volume on a daily basis. I also don't want some of the pennies. So I'm going to say get rid of the stocks where the price is below, let's say 10 cents. The price has got to be above 10 cents, sorry. So it hasn't really changed much on that filter. Say price has to be above 10 cents. Only eliminated one. And I'm going to say here, because I want to see what have they done over the last week, I'm going to say over the last week, I want to basically say they're up by, let's say, around 5%. Because I'm saying they've had earnings sometimes in the last week, and so I want to make sure they've headed up. And then I also want to say here, so I'm going to just move some of these just by dragging them around. So I've got price above that, change above that, change that. I don't really care about that, so I'm going to get rid of that. It doesn't have, that's my last price, that's yesterday's change. That's the weekly change, the monthly change, the 3-monthly change, the yearly change. I've still got 185. So let's find me shares where they're up at least around 30% over the year, just to try and find stocks that are at least heading in the right direction. So now I'm down to 26 matches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort by yearly performance and just have a bit of a look through them, because I'm trying to find the stocks that, this one's up 189%. It's had a pullback, it's had earnings. And so you can see here it's actually dipped on those earnings. So it's not going up at the moment, but it's had earnings and it's gone the wrong way, even though, over the last 5 days it's gone up. So I'll skip that one for now. CPSS. Well, the other thing too, sorry, you can do is, you can see it's had its earnings. You can skip down here. And so see how you've got the charts here that basically tell you, this is the annual performance. And so you can see, the revenue is looking quite good, but the net income's very flat. You can also have a quick look at the quarterly, and so you can see here, you've got your profit margin. So you can see the profit margin's going down. They've announced earnings, and it's kind of not as great. It was doing a bit better previously, so that explains why you've got a bit of a dip on earnings. But overall, pretty good stock. It's gone up. It's had a pullback. It started to rally. It's had earnings, and that's upset the story a little bit. But you could certainly keep an eye on it, and you could do something like say, well, put a alert up here. So go add alert, and so say if it goes up a little bit, then send me a message, just to means that I don't have to sit here and watch it. But if it looks like it's going to recover a bit and start to head back up, then I'll get an alert that might tell me to come back and have another look at it. Right, let's have a look at CPSS. So it's had earnings, and so he's past his earnings period. And he looks like it could be quite good here. So, again, that could be a stock that you might say, set a little alert here somewhere and go add alert, and just keep an eye on it for me. So if it goes up, continues to go up, I might have a look at an entry there. So you can see this one's had quite a good little push on earnings. So he's, had his earnings period here. He's gone up quite a bit. He's pulled back. So again, that could be another stock. And it's just been nice and steady up and, going up. And so I might say, let's set an alert somewhere like here, go add alert. And if he continues to go up, then I'll have another look at him. EQT, same sort of deal. He's been going up. He's had an earnings call, and the earnings haven't been great. So, quarterly, you can see, it's not as bad as I would have thought, but not great as far as dividends payouts. still, rated as a strong buy, but again, he's certainly pulled back, but he was, he was going up nice. He's had a pullback, gone up. So again, I might sort of put a little alert here and say, an alert, create LXU, next one. So, he's been pretty flat. I might have a quick look at a Bollinger Band. So I might go indicators, Bollinger. But I like to sometimes look for some of these Bollinger Band breakouts. So I'll add a Bollinger Band, and so you can see here, he's just broken out above his upper Bollinger Band, so it means something unusual's happened. So he's had earnings, and they've been quite positive, so he's gone up. Let's have a look here. Beautiful looking chart. That's a quarterly chart, so nice and steady. Annual, revenue's up, net income's up, so that it looks like a bit of a positive story for LSB. And so I'd look at that one there, and I'd say, well, again, just a tool that I've already got stored on my bookmark. If I click on where he is now, and I say, well, if it got up to there, that's 30%. Got up to there, that's sort of a one of these sort of typical resistance areas, 64%. If it got all the way back up to where it was, that's 100%. So, here's someone I'm fairly interested in. Like, I'd like to look at that stock. So, again, let's zoom in a bit. This was sort of nothing sort of been happening through here. It's been very flat. He's had earnings. It's obviously been good news. His chart looks great. Good looking financial chart. And this is a strong buy. It's saying the 1 year price target is about $25, so $25.48. And so if I said, let's see where he is now, and go up to $25.48, roughly, so that's a 91% move. So, said he's someone that I'll have a little bit of a look at. So I might zoom in a bit, and what I'll do is I will set an alert somewhere around here. That $13.75 type mark, go add alert. If he goes up to there, let me know. So just to keep an eye on it, because it might pull back before it rallies again. But he's got a bit of upside if he does go well. Chemicals and agriculture, so that could be good space to be in. CPG. So again, been flat through there, had a big run up, pull back, had earnings. You can see that the volume there is above the sort of 30. I think that's a 30-day average volume line. Style. So that's 14. So let's make it 30. Look, 30. Just to stick it 1 month to get me a bit better view. And so you can see, there's been a good bit of extra volume, not a lot, but a little bit extra volume over that period. Again, it's fairly flat. And so I might say, well, if he goes up again, add alert, and then go create. And so it just means that I don't have to follow any of these. Like if it goes down the wrong way, then I'm not looking at it. But if it does rally and go back up, then it's of interest. And so anyway, so you can see, you can just sort of continue to go through these and, just see what's happening. This one's had a very good move up, 7% move. I actually hold this one just by coincidence. I bought him on this breakout here, and so that was where I bought it. And it's had a bit of a run, so that's had a nice pop there. G and GF, don't know about them. Again, it's had a really good bump on earnings, and it's had a bit of a pullback. But you can see, it's been sort of fairly flat across there, so that might be a good sort of range to expect it to go back up to. VIST, again, great. They've had earnings there. So what's he done? So he's had earnings there. Oh. And you can see he's up 42% from his earnings. So, Vista Energy's, powering along. So, good looking quarterly chart. Good turnaround from his previous, 2020. Very steep. What I'd probably do is I'd probably say, let's have a look at the RSI. Let's add an RSI, relative strength index, just to see, again, it's just an indicator I might use to see if it's overbought or oversold. So let's just adjust some of the values here. So I'm going to say I want an RSI of 14 days. That's all good. Style. There's all this stuff now that they've added to this RSI that just makes it difficult to read. You've got to spend half your life going through turning stuff off. So I like to have the upper band of 70, middle band 50, lower band 40, that's all right. I don't know why I need an RSI MA. I'm going to make my RSI line maybe green so I can see it a bit better. I might make it a bit thicker. So you can see here it's making it thicker. I'm just going to go OK. And so you can see here the RSI is now quite high, like it's up around 69. So to me, I look at that and I look kind of back. Let me just make it a bit bigger for you. So I look at this RSI here and I look back across that line. I can see it doesn't really like getting much above that before it pulls back. So, again, see how sort of through here, as soon as it gets up to this sort of level, it has a pullback. Gets up to this level, has a pullback. Gets up to that level, has a pullback. So it's not one that I want to enter. I've kind of lost my, run a bit too late. So anyway, as I said, I just thought I'd show you how you might, want to use earnings to look through these things. The other way of doing it is if you go to the weekly performance, and it can be quite fun to sort it this way. So you can say end phase, for example. If you're sorting it by the weekly performance, you can see this one here is, rocketed up. RSI is too high for me, but it still looks interesting. Res, again, had a really good run. It's up 24% over the last 5 days. Matador, 17% over the last 5 days. So earnings has been here. It's had a Bollinger breakout. RSI is not overcooked yet. It's had a little bit of a pullback. So again, that one could be, reasonable to look at tomorrow night. Or, when the stock market opens. Annual's good. You can see a big turnaround 2021 and great Q2. So again, that's one that I would probably have a bit of a look at. So let me go add alert and go create. And anyway, as I said, that's just a way to use this recent earnings date indicator and see how there's a little asterisk next to my earnings breakout. So I want to make sure I go save columns as and save, and my earnings breakout. I want to save my filters and go save, and yes, save. And so this is just a super simple way to see what stocks have just had earnings and how they've performed on those earnings, and whether it's something you want to bookmark and keep an eye on and add it to your watch list. So I hope that was useful. I hope it's just another tool that you can use to keep an eye on these stocks within TradingView, and it's a very good product. So as always, thank you very much for listening, and I hope that was useful to someone.